Hey, I'm Ashley, and this is my husband Colin. At the start of this year, we traded in our camper van and bought a 1991 50-foot sailboat. Colin has a ton of sailing experience, but me, not so much. Our plan is to update our boat and start our adventure around the world. Come along with us as we experience the lows and the highs of sailing.
Good morning. We are back. Well, not we, me. I'm riding solo this week. I have some projects on the boat. We are getting ready to get the boat ready to go. So our plan is to do stuff at the marina that makes sense to do it at the marina. There's a lot of stuff you can do at anchor, but there's a lot of stuff that's also a lot easier to do if you're at a marina or at a boat slip. So one of the first things is that we're going to be doing, we got a nice new anchor, a Rocna 33, and we got that from a West Marine sale that they had going on. So it was much cheaper than it was supposed to be, cheaper than the boat show prices. So I'm going to be putting that on today. I'm going to be working on the transmission, trying to see what this big clunk is when we go into gear. I've done a lot of research on it, and sounds like it might be an adjustment or needs an oil change. The motor's only got 700 hours on it, same with the transmission, so I don't think anything's gone wrong with the clutches or anything yet, but I'm going to be taking a look, doing a bunch of adjustments, and going from there. So yeah, first thing I'm going to do today is, because it's still too early, I don't want to start the motor, wake up my neighbors, because we have some liveaboards next to us. So I'm going to grab this anchor, and you're going to watch me pick up this 70-pound anchor and try to bring it down to the boat. So I'm on the boat. We have the new we have the new Rocna there. We have the old Bruce here. This is supposed to fit on the front. I'm really hoping it does, because I don't want to have to return it and buy another one. But it's bow with a bow pulpit, and we have a bow roller. But I have seen mixed reviews on which one actually fits this boat better. I've seen pictures of both on the bow of our boat, which is an Oceanus 500. Same thing as the 510. Almost the same bow as the Oceanus 50. So I'm going to drop this anchor down, the Bruce, drop it onto the, I'm going to drop it onto the deck, and then disconnect it, hook the new one up, and take my time, very slow, and make sure that the new one will fit perfectly and not gouge the front of the boat, or see if I have to make any modification. So we are looking pretty good. I need to switch that D shackle around because it hits, you can see how it hits the furler a bit. I'm going to drop it straight down now and not guide it in, and see how it comes up on its own. But everything's fitting so far. Can it go back? No, it's sitting right there. So yeah, that's as high as it gets. It's a little floppy. It doesn't sit as nice as, this is our neighbor. We know him pretty well. His sits pretty, his might just be really tight. No, yeah, his flops a little bit. So I thought it would sit closer, but that's not a big deal. It still looks good. Still seems to fit. So yeah, let me drop it straight down and see what it looks like that way. I'm gonna let it go naturally to see, like, if we're at anchor, without me touching it and stuff, how it would, if it self-releases, and then if it comes up clean in the right direction. That's, again, because the D-shackle's on the wrong side. Okay, final fitment for now until I figure out the D-shackles and the wiring for that. So one thing I'm noticing is that we probably need a proper pivot joint, like this one here. I think that's the Mantis one, not quite sure, but the double D shackle is not working. So please give me your recommendations as to which ones you like. There's 100 of them out there and there's almost too many to choose from. So if you have a recommendation of something you've been using for years and trust and never had issues with, let us know. It'll help in the decision for trying to buy one. But yeah, that's all she wrote for the anchor. She fits pretty nice up there. We're gonna be painting her at some point. One, so it kind of, you can see it as our own. So you can tell our boat. Also, so you can see how buried it is in the sand without having to dive on it. It's something common that I've seen every once in a while, is that they'll paint the inside of this like yellow or red or something like that, so you can look down in clear water and see how buried it is. We may paint the whole thing. We're not kind of sure. The galvanized looks nice over time, but we like to be a little different every once in a while. So we probably will paint the whole thing. We'll see. But yeah, that's all she wrote on there. She fits perfect. So one thing that has kind of plagued us since launching is the shifter is very sticky. Like, I'm pushing a lot for it to actually go into gear, and then all of this is just like, neutral's a little hard to find. Reverse also, you can kind of hear that clunk, and then again neutral. So I'm not sure if it's the shifter cables or something needs lubricating, but it makes docking very interesting because it doesn't like to go in gear. It seems like it goes halfway into gear and we get a huge clunk. That doesn't sound very good, but again, the motor has only 700 hours on it, same with the transmission, so I doubt it needs clutches already. So I'm gonna go in and inspect everything, see if anything's out of alignment. I've heard online that it is kind of finicky when it comes to everything being perfectly adjusted. So I'm gonna disconnect the shifter cable, start the motor, see if just manually putting it in gear, if everything's okay there, or if I'm gonna work from the motor backwards, essentially. Make sure that the transmission's fine before taking this apart, because it kind of seems like a pain in the ass to take that shifter mechanism apart. But I'm gonna work my way back and see how everything kind of is and see if I find anything. So sorry, the camera died and I didn't realize it, but essentially one thing I found is that by removing this cotter pin, and I'll put that in a safe spot, and then taking off the shifter linkage, that it is sitting it's not sitting all the way in neutral. So that's neutral, forward, reverse. Everything here feels great, but where this goes outside to the shifter's in neutral outside. Let me just check real quick. Yeah, the shifter's in neutral outside. You probably saw this moving. So it was sitting kind of in halfway between forward and neutral. So that's not good. This adjustment was as loose as it is now. And I can almost get it. I want to see some stuff. I want to turn the motor on, because I'm wondering if it slipped here, or kind of like, I think everything's really out of adjustment somehow. Somewhere something slipped. But even with this disconnected, like, this is super easy. The outside shifter is still, here, I'll show you. So it's disconnected from the inside, and the shifter is still pretty hard to find neutral, and there's a lot of friction. So I think I got to take this apart and see what's going on inside of here. I think we need to do a lot of adjustments and take apart this shifter and see what it looks like in there. Hopefully nothing's broken. There's not like some nylon bushing that's disintegrated. Hopefully it just needs lubrication or some adjustment. But I'm gonna get to that now. Have no clue how this comes apart. It looks like this should come off, but we have a nice plate here with a ton of corrosion. So I'm gonna look this up. Hopefully this comes off, because I have a feeling that's not going to be very easy to get off. But let me get some rust penetrant and at least put that on it so it can start soaking in case I do have to get that off. Okay, so I got all of them out. This one was actually a lot easier than I thought it would be. Someone used hopefully 4200, but maybe 5200, we'll see. And it started to break apart, which is good. I don't know. There we go. It's gonna be tight up here. I know that for sure, but maybe I can work it. Okay, ton of grease. Why is it so hard to shift then? Let me get the shifter on it and see what I can see. So this should be the gear selector, and this should be throttle, I think. No. This is gear selector, this is throttle. God. I wonder if there's something. I'm gonna look up how to grease this, because I'm wondering if there's, because once it's in gear, it's fine. It's just like it, yeah, it's a little hard to push, but could just be old. But it's like getting into, I don't know if that throttle down here looks like it's bending a little, but I don't know if that's normal. Very hard angle, sorry. So one thing I'm finding, I don't know if it's the culprit, but this grease, you can see it is not very greasy anymore. It's gotten really hard. Like, some of it's greasy, but I think it needs, I got some dirt. I think it needs a bunch of new grease. This stuff is getting old. So I'm gonna clean this up the best I can. I'm gonna take this off because there's a bunch of stuff under here that like, this stuff is sticky, but not, it's not great, it's old. So I'm gonna try greasing this up. I can't, it's very hard to go into forward and reverse still, and everything I'm looking up online, there's an adjustment screw here, but it's already out all the way. That acts as friction. So I think it might just need some grease, but I'm gonna try that first and try the easy stuff. Try the easy stuff before getting into the hard stuff, and always it might be the simplest solution, or it could take more, but we'll see. So I got a lot of it lubed up. I'm gonna work it a bunch back and forth to shifter and see if I can't notice anything, work the grease in, see if it helps at all. And then there's a lot of adjustments here, and there's also adjustments down on the motor. There's a little guide online about setting base kind of, and then going from there, and I'm gonna work from base up to where everything sounds good in shifts more or less. The transmission feels fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There shouldn't be. Shifting it manually with a little bit of throttle sounded good. I think we're out of adjustment with the shifter handle, shifter throttle combo, and the transmission and the throttle down below. Okay, the cotter pin is in. Everything looks good. Everything's tight. This, if you're wondering, is something that the previous owner or the shop, whoever, added, and it's a way to drain the transmission oil. I have a similar one, can't see, there's one up here for the engine oil. They need to be connected, but it's a way to drain it without having to, it goes right to the sump. So you don't have to, you can drain it more efficiently that way with the vacuum versus coming in from the top. So we need to do an oil change here soon, but in the meantime, it's just gonna hang out up here while I get this started and check it out. So it feels a ton better up there, shifting and forward and reverse. There's that loud clunk that we had before that was very audible. Even our neighbor was like having transmission problems when we were looking at it before. That is gone. It seems to be, when you put it in gear, that it's sitting around 750, 800 RPMs when you first go in gear, and it's kind of bogging down, and I think that's why the motor's shaking so much. I haven't looked at the footage, but it sounds like the motor's going like that, and it did that when I was manually putting it in gear. So I think I need to adjust the throttle a little bit, so when I go in gear, it ups it ever so to maybe 900 or 1000 RPMs, because once it hits about 1100 or 1000, it seems smooth. I'm going to go back and look at the footage, but it seems smooth on the outside. Same with reverse. That it just like about 1000 RPMs in gear. Anything below that, it's starting to bog a little bit. It is a pretty big prop on here, but also it's a big boat and it's a big motor. So I think it just needs a little more juice or adjustment with the throttle. But I'm going to save that for a day that we can go out to the harbor and then practice with that. There's not much I can do here in the marina with actually seeing what it does under when it's under power like that. We have a lot of current and stuff and whatnot, so I'm gonna call that a day. Feels a lot better. I'm ready to get out and try it and see what it feels like getting out of the boat slip and then maneuvering a little bit and all that kind of stuff. But I'm confident that it's 100% better than it was before. It's not perfect, still needs some adjustment, might need motor mounts depending on how much the motor's moving. Was moving a little bit when I was manually adjusting it. Didn't like that, but I don't know if that's common for these motor mounts to be that soft. So if you, again, it's only got 700 hours on the motor. I'm assuming the motor came with new motor mounts. I know for sure it was in a different spot, because you can see where the old motor mounts were. New motor mount, and then you can see that the old motor mounts were up front. So if you have this kind of Volvo or any kind of Volvo, let me know if yours vibrates that much when it's like bogging down a little bit or at a rough idle. It's very easy to replace these motor mounts. I might go ahead and do it because they're, I think, $50 a pop. And if it really quiets it down and helps with that vibration at low RPMs, that'd be great. So I'm gonna call that done for now until we can get out and do a sea trial and practice with that, and then practice some docking and see if it gets worse or stays there. And then also gonna keep track of the shifter linkage and see if that continues to move. I'm gonna go and tighten up that lock screw, but also track to see if that is loosening or for some reason moves even more after going in and out of gear a while. So I'm gonna clean up all my tools, which are wet, let them hang out to dry a little bit, and then call that job 70% done for now. Yeah.